Okay, what I really want to know is your own story.
Wow. Thank you, Donna. It's my story is very interesting because as far as the spiritual, metaphysical part of myself and what I know that I'm here to do now, I actually didn't believe in. I came from a very analytical, practical, scientific, having to have the proof mind and living a very practical, traditional life. And all of a sudden got shaken to my core by a number of events that happened in my life that showed me that there's way more than we know. And I, was married, had kids, had a home in the country. I was a dance teacher, had a, dance studio, loved teaching dance. And all of a sudden events started to happen. I started to shake that up and started with some deaths, some really close people in my life. My father and my mother, very young, early in 91, and then it was just there was my horse that I'd had since I was a teenager, who was just the love of my life. All of a sudden I had to put him down, and the dog that my kids were raised with, who was again so much part of our family, we had to put him down, and then the marriage started to disintegrate, and I knew I had to make decisions around that, and then I was had a ballroom partner that I was dancing and teaching with, who had committed suicide, and so there was a shock and a loss there, and so there was a number of losses that happened really quickly in a very compacted time that really brought me to my knees. I mean, they were losses, they were sad, and they were but it gave me a very different perspective, and then I had a dance studio that also, all of a sudden Spirit decided that, I was getting these
That's that.
these nudges that it was time to do something else, and I wasn't listening because I was hanging on. It was sort of the last piece of my identity as to, what I thought I was supposed to do or who I was, and all of a sudden the dance studio was gone after 15 years. And so with all of these roles and who I thought I was all of a sudden disintegrating and gone, I went away on retreat for myself. And it was in that process of, first of all, getting away from all of those things, really taking time to be with myself and discover myself, that I got a whole greater knowing, and a lot of it did happen through the deaths. I had some pretty metaphysical experience, mystical experiences around each of those deaths. That
Like one, like tell me one.
of them of receiving guidance after they were gone. So I never really believed that you could do that, once they were gone, they were gone. And so then I had some amazing experiences right at the graveside with my father, as I was choosing, for the kids and I to leave the house and leave the marriage. I prayed, which I didn't even know what I was doing because I didn't believe in it, and had a wonderful experience of my mother showing up and guiding me with some decisions. And it was just these powerful experiences that allowed me to know there's so much more. There's way more than I knew at the time, and allowed me to open up to just a greater spiritual knowing of who I was, who others were. And I always, when I teach workshops and stuff, and people ask me similar to share about myself, and I talk about the deaths, and even after I went away on retreat, I was there, and my brother got killed, and I had to come back for that one. And so it was like, we were at his wake, and my daughter was really upset about it and crying in the corner, and she said, "Mom, why do these things keep happening to us?" And I just said, God wants something really special from us. And I had started to have that deeper knowing that there was more going on, and it wasn't what it was appearing to be. It wasn't as challenging as what it looked like. And so when I was away, I opened up to much greater spiritual experiences. I was involved with shamans and healers and healing circles and Reiki masters, things I'd never been exposed to in my hometown. There wasn't those possibilities there. So it was, again, Spirit moving me on to something greater than what I had any awareness of. And so I always, add a little joke into this little part about what does a country and western song sound like played backwards. And it's, my horse came back, my dog came back, my dad came back, my mom came back, my brother came back, and they're all right here. And I feel them, and they're all very much part of of the unseen world and of guidance, and I've had, again, a number of experiences around that. So it led me into being exposed to a greater awareness of the unseen realm. And as I went through that and then realized, I started taking Reiki training and working with energy, and took a bunch of courses, workshops, interacted with many healers and sort of what I consider really high metaphysical beings, and I realized that was what my truth was. I had never been living my truth. I'd been living, what I thought I was supposed to be, and all of a sudden it just really called to me. And as I went through each step, nice and gently and gradually learning more about that metaphysical world and taking my Reiki mastership, again, just so many experiences of knowing that there was so much more, and then having the sensations of them. So not just, being told, but actually having physical experiences of it. So through that process I started journaling. And it was in the journaling that I really got in touch with. Here I was just thinking that I was writing for something to do because it felt good. And then I realized that I was doing what I called angel writing. And that angel writing then would be guidances from the other dimensions, and it was kind of different personalities at first, and I had much lighter personalities than mine was. I can be really quite serious, and so it was, as I'd finished writing, I thought, well, that's not even what I would say. And so I started these angel writings and was getting beautiful messages, and I have binders and binders of them. And after a while, this went on for about a 6-year period. And after a while, I realized that they started to get more streamlined. They weren't such different personalities. They always kind of felt like the same personality coming through. And one time when I finished writing, I wrote U period S period. And I was far enough along in the process now out of my analytical mind that I knew I didn't need to know what that was right then, that it would be shown to me eventually. And so just allowed the process, and would write usually at least once or twice a week, and I would always feel really good afterward. So no matter what I was feeling like before I wrote it, after I wrote it, I would just be filled with this joy and this lightness and this deep knowing that all was well. And so as I was doing these writings again over the 6-year period, I don't even know the time frame. Somewhere along the line I wrote and I underscored your council of light. And that was a really big clue for me, what you might call an aha, that, because in my Reiki training, I'd had a vision of a council of light beings standing around me. So then I thought, that's them. They're showing me who they are, and they're letting me know. And of course, as soon as I had that thought, that was a confirmation. I got this, thrill and chill through my body, and that's, how I know now, because I'm very tuned in feeling-wise to the energies. So when they're coming through me, I get it in my body. And so again, I don't know, years, months, whatever went on. And one time I finished writing and I wrote, they told me that the U period, S period, stood for United Souls of Heaven and Earth. And it was another one of those, there we go. As they said that and I wrote it, it made sense, because in my, when I was doing my healing work with people, actually I was working with a very high level healer, and I was doing a Reiki session with her, and when I could feel the energy had shifted, and I thought, this doesn't feel like Reiki energy. And so I said to her, do you mind if I go with this to see what this is? And because she was very in tune with energy, way more than I was, she goes, oh yeah. And so I basically got downloaded with a new modality of energy work, and it all came through right there with her, and she could describe it because she could see energy, whereas at that point I still couldn't see it. So as I was doing it, she could describe to me everything that was happening energetically for her, and what it became, and we named it, was energy harmony alignment. And it was working with the golden heart, which is a spot right in the physical body between the breasts, which is a new chakra that's opened, where the divine essence actually sits within the physical body. And it got shown during that treatment that as I was working with her, I was activating that. and I could actually see the light emanating from that spot in the body. And it actually does show up in Clarion photography now. And what we got shown was it is the bridge between the three physical chakras, which are the solar plexus, the second chakra, the emotional chakra, and the root chakra. And then what they call the ethereal spiritual chakras are from the heart, the communication center, the third eye, and the crown, and this is the bridge. So it's a bridge between the physical or the earth energies and the spiritual or the heavenly energies. And I knew that when I was working with that, we were creating that bridge and that connection, that flow, and working with the body as if it was a musical instrument. The touch was very light, like playing a piano. And I knew that I was, where I would touch, it was resonating like as if you hit a note on a piano, and that was then going through the body and creating this beautiful symphony of energy that you harmonize the physical, the mental, the emotional, and the spiritual energy fields. So when we were finished the session, we both kind of looked at each other and go, wow. And so I worked with it for a long time with just what I would consider very high-level healers. So that, again, they could share their experience of what the energy was, what they saw it as they felt it. And eventually I developed it into a curriculum and